Hey Mike.
Yep.
Say cheese.
Cheese.
We went to a place called Cheese Fest, which is a touring food festival centred entirely around cheese. Obviously there's all the normal kind of cheeses, and then there's the posher versions of those cheeses that you can't necessarily get in the supermarket. But there's also what they call speciality cheese, which is cheese that is weird, that doesn't usually sell in supermarkets, but sells to the sort of people who would pay money to go to Cheese Fest.
Ooh, that's us.
That's us.
That's us. This lovely green fella is Sage Derby, which, as you might expect from the name, is green because it's just filled with sage.
I do love the look of it.
Yeah, there were more that looked like this. I don't know how it's prepared, but there were quite a lot that were made with port or red wine. Occasionally it was herb sort of stuff, but quite often it was actually made with booze of some kind, and it has this kind of wonderful
Marbling, I guess?
But yeah, it's got a lovely creamy flavour, and then
all the sage hits at once.
Yeah. Very powerful.
I would like to see some other herb-infused cheeses, because sage is kind of a safe herb. It goes with pretty much everything. It does hang around though for quite a while. That sage is still there.
Yeah, indeed. That's why.
There's nothing wrong with that. But usually, if I'm eating cheese, I'm eating a large amount of cheese, and that could be 3 days. Sort of a herby infusion cheese we found. It's bright blue. I can't remember what it was called. It was called Villa Bleu or something. This is Stilton infused with lavender.
A little bit scared, having said I'm not the biggest fan of blue cheeses, we found the bluest cheese.
Blue is the warmest cheese. It doesn't taste like Stilton.
That's actually really nice.
Yeah. It's sweet, but it's not creamy and soft. It's chewy.
I'm trying to tell how much of a blue cheese it actually is, because it was on the store which was this is all blue cheese. Now I think about it, there were some which were it's just a Gouda with eggs in it. So I think that's what it is a base of Gouda. Apparently it's just a blue cheese and not a blue cheese after all. But it's very nice.
But also lavender and cheese.
Yeah.
Good combination. Just at the end of it there is and here's the rest of the cheese that you wanted with that lavender. But yeah, cannot fault it.
This is Red Leicester. Not the most exciting type of cheese. It's very, very common, but it's not like cheddar where you get different levels of vintage and different levels of artisanal homemadeness to it. Apparently the only raw milk Red Leicester in the country, so this is not made with pasteurised like pretty much everyone else does it, and it's a recipe dating back to 1034.
The idea is that it's somehow more Red Leicester-y than supermarket Red Leicester, which is usually the it's looked down upon as a cheese.
This is one I'm actually quietly the most excited about, just because it's going to be either wow, it really is just a fairly plain and boring cheese, or this is going to blow our minds and change our worlds forever.
Ooh.
It's quite raw, it's quite a dry cheese as well. It's not too crumbly, but it's got quite a dry texture to it.
It is quite similar to a very, very mature cheddar. On the extra strong type level.
And this wasn't the vintage either, because they did have the vintage version as well, and we were tempted, and then we went, let's go for the traditional 1,000-year-old recipe and see how it goes. But this is actually super tasty for a...
So yeah, turns out proper Red Leicester is a valid cheese.
Down with the cheddar monopoly!
This is something that I saw a lot of at Cheese Fest actually from various vendors. Some people were calling it charcoal bricks. Some people were calling it cinder block, but it is a charcoal infused cheese. They had a big thing of like, some cheeses are sort of smoked and use charcoal smoke to kind of affect flavouring. And some have charcoal kind of like smushed around the edge at a certain point in the cheese development, so that it kind of like, as the cheese matures, it like draws it in. But this is apparently the only one that actually just straight up mixes charcoal into the cheese and then presumably turns it edible somehow. Oh, it smells weird.
It does.
It doesn't smell like cheese.
No, there's definitely a cheese smell in there, but it's in there alongside another smell, like as might possibly be charcoal. Charcoal. I can word.
Okay.
Oh, the texture is weird. It's like Pop Rocks or something, like on a very small scale. I don't know how much of that was a charcoal flavour and how much was a, well, we're putting so much charcoal in this, we better make a ridiculously strong cheese to begin with.
Most of that was just a very strong cheese. The charcoal didn't add very much taste to it, but it's added this weird texture now where it's like... like, I can feel it. Like, whenever I close my mouth, I can feel it between my teeth. It's weird.
I think the charcoal maybe takes a little bit of the edge off it, like, stuffing all of it was too overpowering. I don't think I want to have much of it without a fairly hefty slab of bread or substantial cracker or two to come and balance it out. At the point where I expected it to keep building, it kind of stops, and just... so maybe the charcoal just makes it tasty but with less of a kick? I don't know.
I mean, charcoal is supposed to be good for your teeth. So, like, there's that. The lavender one was a genuinely interesting thing, and the sage one was just quite nice. And I'm not seeing that there's as much of a benefit. Like, I'm not going to be like, this is going to revolutionise how some people see cheese. It does have a level of visual interest.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes that's enough, is just having, like, something that's a different colour. Like, just kind of makes it look a bit more visually interesting. But I want to talk about my smoked Stilton, because this was from the, like, everything is blue and smelly stall. And it smells like someone lit a fart on fire, which is a sign of a good cheese, really. The sandwich I had yesterday was literally like millimetre thin, tiny scrapings of it, and then I put some normal cheddar on over the top, and that was the exact amount of correct, like, cheese to salad ratio. You do not want that on its own, because it's lovely.
No, you're right.
But it's like, oh, it's so, like, just overpowering tasting. And having, like, little tiny scrapings of that on top of a normal cheddar just meant that it was like, you got the cheesiness throughout the sandwich, but not all of that throughout the sandwich. And it just, like, allowed it to even out a little bit more. Cheese. So much cheese. I love cheese. So you know how I was saying about the bravado that comes with spiciness, and the thing of, like, anything that is made spicy, there has to be, hey look, it's cool that we made this spicy, and then there has to be for people who competitively try and out-spice each other. Like, hey look, this is a really nice curry. Hey look, this is the same curry but filled with hot sauce for no real reason other than that you can order it in front of all your mates and look like a lad. Like, there's that kind of thing. I feel like there's kind of an element of that in cheese eating, in that it's like the weirdest cheese, and it's fun to see, like, how people keep coming up with weird new stuff. One of the promotional images for Cheese Fest that they didn't actually have a Bristol version, sadly, was the rainbow cheese toasties that were a huge thing on Instagram a while back. There's all this here. I don't know how nice it would taste together, but we've got like 3 colours of the rainbow on this cheese board right now. Oh my god, I want to open a restaurant and do pride flag sandwiches. Like, you could do the charcoal one and a mozzarella, and there's got to be a purple one out there somewhere, and that would be the ace pride flag.
Yep.
And you could do like the blue one and the pink one, and just like a little bit yellow inside, and that's like cheddar, and that's pansexual. And like, you could do all of them.
You could.
Pride flag cheese toasties. I just broke the internet. I feel like in terms of foodie trash, that wasn't very much of a review because that was we like cheese. We bought some cheese.
We definitely got some good comments on each of them in there.
I think we should stop this video because I'm just going to keep eating cheese forever unless someone takes it away from me.
Yep, that is your default state of being.
Cheese!
Cheese! Edit that out, it makes me look stupid.
No, shan't.